Kathy Vick, deeply awake. Ready for some passion? Ready for some rawness? Ready for some honesty? Ready for some politics? Sociology? Anger? Well then, are you also ready for a dose, a very large one, of magic, of possibilities that you have not considered, that once considered will make you feel tremendously better? Ready for humor? Well then, strap in. It's the first night in America that we have a fascist as our president-elect. A bigot, a racist, a sexual predator. I'm convinced that he's an incestuous father. He is a philanderer. He's a cheater. He's cheated on his wives and then married the one who he cheated with. He's a profoundly mentally ill individual. And we're talking in a personality disorder sort of way. And those who are in psych know what I mean. You can't medicate a personality disorder away. That's part of their structure. The person who wrote, his big frickin' book, the one that made him, put him on the map. Well, he's got some blood on his hands, doesn't he? Well done, fucker. Think before you do a job for money that turns your stomach and darkens your soul next time, you asshole. But yeah, he was instrumental in romanticizing and whitewashing this monster, this crazy man. Well, partly because we were, as a country, pretty infected by the fable of the rich and famous, that, you know, in America, anybody can be anything. And then we all watched Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous and took out credit cards. Remember that? It was when you literally couldn't turn on the radio without being sold a mortgage. It's when that started. I thought that was weird. And yeah, in the 80s, early 80s, when Reagan got in, it started to get real mean. And then by the time I got out of nursing school, oh yeah, yeah, I think I already had 2 or 3 credit cards. And the idea was to, I was with everybody else. I was with everybody else. You wanted to succeed. Get out there and succeed. Your parents many of them have started from nothing and become very successful. And in America, you can do anything. And we had parents who knew that. That was part of their DNA. And we go out in the world and we started out with a recession. I started my career in '85. And there was a nursing glut. And so I had to interview, I think, 6 times to get a job. And the rest, they say, is history. But I saw it happen in front of my eyes. The nation got really mean. Neil Young wrote about it. And, yeah, I think he wrote about it the best. I don't know. He didn't romanticize it. So, I've been awake and aware through all of this. I was listening to the Sex Pistols in '79 on vinyl. Me and my friend Nikki were just forever changed. And I had a boyfriend who was, totally into music. And I got such a musical education from him. I am forever in his debt to this day. I did not appreciate music, and I was not a music snob until I spent several years with him. And yeah, I know my pop music. And the personalities of it. And so punk is like, yeah, well, can't you see? I mean, God save the Queen, this fascist regime where, oh, it goes on and on. About morons and all kinds of stuff. No future, no future, no future for you. Yeah, that was in 79. And I was, what, 18? And so, yeah, there haven't been many scales on my eyes. Let's just put it that way. And I luckily was born among people who were intelligent, socially aware, and who really gave a damn about current events, civics, what was happening. And then, you know, you got to remember that my parents were young ones. They were in their early 30s, I guess? No, earlier than that. They were much, much younger than that when Kennedy was shot. And I'll tell you, that changed, that, my mom would talk about it now and then, but not often, and that event changed her. And then there were the other shootings, I remember them, to some extent, just the, this diminishment and just the horror that this could be happening, because it was so obvious what was going on. They were being picked off one by one. Sure, there was Gandhi, then there was Martin Luther King. No, then there was JFK, and, you know, RFK, MLK. One by one. And then Nixon. And I remember that summer listening to the Watergate hearings live, because my mom felt it. I mean, she, of course, what else was she going to do? It was her duty. And her friends felt the same way. Women. And after that, you know, we had no faith. If that could happen, you know, at least there was faith in journalists. That quickly died when they were kowtowed into submission because they all had mortgages to fancy houses. And of course, the media was owned by a couple people. So, you know, there you go. Sure, there were independent news people who remained outside of this sick machine. And, you know, they've done God's work with community building and all that, so that's good. But unfortunately, a lot of the people who, you know, populate small towns and use the smaller papers that are independent are quite conservative and Christian and not open to a lot of liberal New York elitist ideas. You want to hear about Trump? Well, okay then. Oh, why? God. Because when I was a girl, it was unthinkable that you would speak disrespectfully about the president. That was not done. Neither did you call him by his first name, or just simply by his last name. That was not done. When you referred to the President of the United States of America, you said President Ford, or whatever, even when they were obviously flawed people. And that Carter is seen as, I don't know why. It's just like high school, you know, where you can be a really totally cool person, and there's just this flavor about you that everybody has, and it's like, what the fuck? I didn't do anything, but everybody just doesn't like me. What the fuck is that about? I feel that way about Carter. He remains a powerful diplomat humanitarian and human being and politician. Very effective, very honest, and very alive. Thank God. He didn't rock the boat too much, but I think that funny funk around him is because he rocked the boat a little bit just because he had a little bit of integrity. So he was maligned, but in a real, like, I don't know, 15-year-old girl way. Do you see her? God. I don't know, but she's not right. Don't you know? Can't you tell? Yeah, I know. I knew you could. Like that. So anyway, I said I was going to get raw. So let's do that. All through this, I've been experiencing, I'm going to be really frank, and I don't know if I have, I talked about bisexuality at the beginning. I haven't reviewed that tape. But I had the first ever person who stepped forward and said, gee, I think you're really attractive. I'd like to give you a gift and offer you my heart. Happened to be a girl who looked like a boy. It was sort of one of those, everybody went to school with one of them. Is that a boy or a girl? And then you never really know, and you have to always remind yourself like that, which is cool. I didn't have a problem with it. In fact, I got a book and a rose. It was a big deal. And I remember standing there afterwards. We didn't kiss or anything. It just was so sweet. And I felt so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it dawned on me, well, we're all wrapped in the same skin and we have different bits. But I really think it was obvious to me even then. I wasn't really attracted to physicalness. It was something else that was attractive. And I didn't really care which body it came in. It all seemed pretty good to me. Because, I was raised on porn. I was reading Hustler when I was a kid. I mean, I knew where everybody's porn stash and all the houses I babysat at. And there were every single one. Good, upstanding Lutherans with stacks and stacks of hardcore porn. Hidden away, of course. We wouldn't want to admit it. Oh my God. Ugh. So yeah, the fine art books were out, Got to impress the neighbors. But, kinky baby. And, I don't know, I always thought that was a little corrupt myself. I had a problem with that. But, I remember at the very tender age, whenever the magazine came out, I saw it. It was the editorial that the Hustler guy, Flint, wrote when he put side by side a picture of blown up Vietnam vets, and that was going on the TV. So we were watching that in nightly news. It was quite relevant. And beside that was some picture of some, I don't know, fucking or something. I don't know. And he said, you tell me what's pornography. And I thought, yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, I have talked about this on film, which is good. So I have not been shy about, sexuality, well, yeah, it's there, and everybody treats it like it's something really, really filthy dirty and corrupt. And I didn't really understand any of that shit, but, of course you're going to take that on. Because everybody else is taking it on too, so they're playing the game too. And I was really okay with either gender. And I had a boyfriend and I had a girlfriend in high school, and it just was always polyamorous, always open about it, and always bisexual. And then I decided I just really had enough of the boys. I had really actually I had such a bad heartbreak that I lost memory of the relationship. I just couldn't tolerate that something like that had happened. It just was truly unthinkable, and it came out of left field, and it what seemed to be a shock to my system, because I forgot the name and the face of who that was for a really long time. And I went to nursing school and did this career. And I got out of nursing school, and I really, it was a conscious thing of just, I went to my first gay club was in Minneapolis. It was there was a gay and lesbian center in Minneapolis. It was quite busy, and they had a coming out group, and they also had counseling. And so I called the counselor and sort of blew him away with my insight. And they said that I should go to a coming out thing, and I said, well, I think not. I don't think I need that level of. That escalated quickly. I was just calling for some information. Anyway, it was, I think maybe that the televisation of Gay Pride that year. So that had to have been 83. Summer of 84. Because Prince was big, and I went to my first gay club. Because the lady on the phone said, well, maybe you should go down to Gay Pride and see what you think. Oh, alrighty then. So I did. And I kissed a woman. It was so oh my God. Heaven. And I remember walking to the club, and I felt so at home. And I was up on the second floor looking over the dance floor, and when Dove's Cry came on, which was pretty much the story of the relationship that just punched me in the psyche. And there was a whole discotheque singing it. It was very, very intense. And so I felt really good about those experiences, and I felt really like maybe that was, I was cool with it. So I was checking it out to see how everybody else was down with it. And people were just kind of really uptight about sexuality. And either lesbianism was foreign, or it was something we didn't want to talk about, because then, if it's a female, well, then do you want me? And do we have to do that dance? It's like, no. So I think it's better. I never really resonated with a label. But I thought, well, this is worth exploring. So when I got back to Denver, I naturally found I fell in love with a woman who I had a very, very intense relationship with for several years. And then I had other relationships, and I got involved with the center in Denver, and went to a coming out group, and met my next girlfriend, who we lived together, and we talked about who was going to make the baby. And luckily that didn't happen. But I'd say luckily, I think that might have been really a lot of fun, actually. But I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. She was ready. I wasn't. And so that blew up, which is fine. Things blow up. It would have been a sad tale had we decided to buckle down and do it. Oh my God. Really? So thankfully, she acted out, and I said, oh, boo-hoo, and ran away. And then I discovered the teachers, because all my other girlfriends, and that whole little weird lesbian thing that happens just got darker and darker and darker. And it just didn't feel right. And I thought, I'm freaking almost 30. I was the old girl, And now what happens next? What I really liked about lesbian relationships at the time, marriage was off the table. No, we have to figure this shit out in real time, honestly, heart to heart. We're not gonna be. There's none of the other stuff. No promises. It's all about presence. It's all about what you bring. It's all about what you need. It's all about what you create together. And if it's good and you declare it good, well, then you keep on going. Why would you not? But, and there were a lot of lesbian, and one of the reasons I got out of lesbianism as a sexual religion is because there was like stereotypes that I was expected to follow in, and I didn't want to. What does a dyke bring on the second date? A U-Haul. Or a lesbian, whatever. Oh, there's others. And lesbians process. Holy crap, they process, and they process, and then they process about their processing until they feel that they could process some more, but they'd like to take a break once they process the idea of breaking from this. Oh my God! So that got a little old. But you know what really got me? What really got me was when there was a Colorado amendment for equal rights. And I was working with this, she was really bitchy. She was like the meanest, she was the mean girl, but she was the one that the bosses liked. So you kind of had to kiss up to her and not piss her off. And she was easily pissed off, as those kind of people are. And it was time to vote. And she came back from voting and went on and on and on about how appropriate it was to just limit human rights of a group of individuals because of who they bed. And whether she knew I was one of the evil people or not, and I didn't identify myself as that. I identified myself as happening to be involved in with women at the moment. I just never really identified. But I love them. And there she is doing this mean thing and boasting about it. And it just sent shivers down my spine. Because once again, it was proven to me that I can't trust the people I'm working next to be decent. And there's this fucking darkness that just lurks where I don't expect it. And it's so disappointing. And it's just so, fuck. Really? Really? This is so foreign. How can you think this way? And it would grieve me. I would grieve. Not anymore. You know why? Because the next time I hear that kind of bullshit, I'm going to say, so, have you had a gay or lesbian relationship then? Is that what you're referring to? About gays not being whatever. I'm going to bring it right back into their crotches. Oh, really? Did your last, whatever, same-sex relationship not go so well for you? Is that why you're so bitter? Because I'm just over it. And then the people I work for, the people who invest what little money I have, the people who for all I know, are changing, making change and handing me my McDonald's, voted for someone who is rabidly, well, he's just off his rocker, and he voted, or he asked into his inner circle someone who is like Ugandan style hateful of gays. So, wowzers. So, I was just really traumatized during the last few months of this election when I would peek in and I would see the obviously incestuous behavior of this man. I would read about the orgies and the parties that he's been witnessed indulging in young flesh. His biographer and what he had to say about this man's sexual behavior, as well as his marital behavior, as well as his general behavior. And I guess all of this is supposed to be okay. Just like that frickin' creep in the cubicle, kitty corner from me. Her acceptance of this as acceptable is something that directly kind of actually impacted me, whether I wanted it to or not. I really didn't ask for this path, It's not something that you sign up for, I don't know. My son is really okay. He's gleeful and just full of solidity about his identity, and he knows he has every right to have his identity. And there's other people who are fucked up if they can't accept it, not him. And it not in a hey I want to fight you kind of way, but just like a you've got to be kidding me. But it gets old. He's been bullied since he was in 3rd grade because he was out since he's been 3rd grade. And he's been spat on and the names he's been called. He told me out of the blue one day, he was on the bed, said, Mom, it's all that bullying really helped me to become a spiritual person. And he didn't want to say any more. That was just a one-time declaration. But yeah, it does. It's spiritual weightlifting. To realize that the person sitting next to you, that you have to share air with and a common purpose with, would, pretty much rather see you dead or humiliated. Because they hold some kind of weird thought about your sexual behavior. You know one of the other reasons I really decided that maybe lesbianism was not going to be something I wanted to do long term? I really had an issue with mentioning that I'd met a new friend, because that happens sometimes. You meet a new friend, yay! And if I'm more out than not, then automatically I think everybody thinks, oh, I wonder if they're lovers. Yeah, shame on you. Back off. Back off. Who gave you the right to think about me that way? I don't think about you that way. And who gave you the right to question what goes on between me and a friend? I mean, if you didn't know that, I was okay with ladies, then it would never dawn on you that I might be sexual with one of them. But then it's on the table and then it's weird. Or not. Because man, oh man, do I know a lot of people who are bisexual and openly so and comfortable with it. Polyamorous, comfortable with it. Swingers, into kink. Furries, all kinds of people. And it is a thriving community. Huge in Denver. And it makes me wonder about, Germany in the 30s. It was a hell of a club scene before the shit started really hitting the fan. A lot of high art, amazing work. And a lot of sexuality, expression of sexuality, which of course conservatives would say is deviance and proof of society's undoing and the unraveling of what is dear and true. Monogamy. Where woman and man are both chattel to each other. We just upgraded. I was so glad that wasn't on the table. And then, ugh. If I were to, I'm just not. I don't. No. Case by case basis, baby. And so that's how I roll. Case by case basis. And I usually am like, oh, I need you. Oh, I want you. Oh, I think you're beautiful. And then they're not interested. And so I just kind of had to figure, oh, I'm such a lover. I'm so sweet. Maybe I could dial it back a little bit. I just am so appreciative of love. I love love. I love love. I like connecting. I like being friends. And so, yeah, and I've kind of gone the gamut with that because part of this whole thing has been about sexually healing. And so I messaged Amy this morning because I started this morning out feeling different, and I have different thoughts now than I did, and I want to discuss that, but I'm thinking they're going to. But I decided, there's no reason not to go forward now. And that's a good feeling. There's no reason to hold back anymore. Not because we've entered the age of the apocalypse. But because all bets are off. And it really fucking doesn't matter to me anymore what people think. It doesn't. Why should I give a shit what anyone has to say about me and what I do, when some of the people around me are willing to have done what they've done to the American public? No more. No more whitewashing. No more hiding. No more secrets. I'm done. And if you don't like it, well then, honey, there's the stop button. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me anymore. I spent my whole life seeking permission to speak, concerned about the comfort of others and their sense of intactness. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm a master now, and I know it, because today I was able to offer love, generosity of spirit, kindness, while my heart broke and rage coursed through my blood. And I was able to put people at their ease. By the afternoon, I was tired. And an ally came. And we cried together. But that's been going on all over the country today. So I hear. So I think, it's about time to get the passports in order. I've been knowing that for a while. It's past time now. It needs to be done. What happened in Germany will happen here. The idea is to get rid of the intelligentsia. The problem is that we are far too spread out now, and far too numerous, and far too outspoken. So, harder to identify by class or religion. So, but that's of course what was done with the Jews. The Jews were educated; they were the intelligentsia. You have to get rid of the intellect. It's easier to rule by brute force. People aren't thinking, but they're in fear because they've forgotten their history and decided that things like philosophy, poetry, fiction, the classics, drama, that these indeed elevate the human experience and guide it to its heights. So, what is cut from education programs? First, the arts. We don't need that beauty. Don't you understand how serious this is? Yeah, actually I do. Yeah, I do. So, I feel very betrayed and at times very unsafe. And that brings on the tears. I have a friend, Melissa LaFlame, who is a poet who will one day be read in college textbooks by people whose hearts will beat faster because of her words. She's just amazing. But Melissa is also a Jungian therapist, and she refers to this election as one that has stirred up and created PTSD, and I have to agree. I have to agree. On so many levels. And I was hoping so much to not have to witness it for 4 years or 8. It's grotesque. It's grotesque. So what really hit me hard this afternoon, and what made me cry is this. I could feel this, I've been feeling energy all day. It's been really obvious what's going on. But by the afternoon, there was a crescendo, and I realized what's involved. It's not just me, because I felt this membrane pop. I'm not really that focused on my personal life anymore. It's not that it feels trivial. It just feels as if it's complete. And what's done is done. And that's great. But now we are on different time. That's how I feel. I mean, it's like night and day. And it feels good. Because I think that, in a way, it's true. I'm not, and it really, that's one of the reasons I think I can be as clear as I am about not caring about people's opinions anymore. And this idea of the permission, I need you to indicate to me where your boundaries are. Because I can go anywhere. Whee! Of course I can. And no more of that. No, that is not very healthy, and it is not very fair. I have boundaries too. I am offended too sometimes. There are some things that I find offensive. And I think it's bullshit to not cop to that as a personality. It's of course, yeah, step up a couple notches of consciousness. I've always said it's like a mountain, and it depends on where you're at. If you are down here and you say I am God, it means one thing. Keep going up the mountain. Keep going up the mountain, and at the top you say it, and it means something completely different. And along the way, there are these gradations. The same words are being used, but it's completely different message and intention and effect and realizations and epiphanies with the same words. So, I think I'm going to channel separately, because this is important to discuss. And plus, I got juicy with you, so I gave you some of the sexy, and maybe you'll hang with me for the other stuff, yeah? You think? You think? I really thought that Clinton was going to win. For a moment, I did. And I really like the idea of a woman in office. Even if, the behavior would have been muddied or anything, like that with corporatism and all that. It didn't matter to me, because she was a mom. And in the end, I realized that we needed a mom in the White House. So, shit. We got the crazy dad. We got a really, really fucked up dad. Yeah. America has daddy issues. Yeah, think. Look at their God. Look at these conservatives' God. And what the God expects of them. And how repressed they are sexually. Woo! When there's repression, that's where the poison is. That's where the rabid dogs are. You repress that shit. Yeah, that's where the darkness is. It is thick, because there the projections come, and it's all fearful. But I was feeling this wave of, I really actually don't feel safe. Wow. And actually, there's a little bit of appropriateness to that assessment. Given the behavior of some of my Facebook colleagues and friends, who I have since unfriended, but it seems like they have a license to just open their mouth and spout diarrhea. That's just nasty. I mean, one of them was going on and on about Obama being from Kenya. So, what? Rome is burning, and you're going on about this? Oh my God. But yeah, I called her a name. Oh, we're starting to name calling, are we? I said, yep. And then a friend of hers said, good one. And I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm done here. You got me. You got me. I'm not doing that again. So, unfriend and block you. Bye-bye. And anybody else who wants to go there, you want to tangle? You're out. I don't want to hear about it. If you can't discuss something that is, we can talk about Trump on many different levels. We can talk about Clinton on many different levels, or Sanders. And I'm not out to hurt anybody's feelings. It's not about feelings at this point, guys. The election was not about feelings. Yes, feelings are a part of this consciousness state. We chose the imprisoning consciousness that Cryon has been talking about, and I have been banging the drum about, of fear. It is so simple a geometric, and it's so strong. And it's thick, and it's slow, and it's hard to burst out of. And it tells you that there's no other way. And all you can see is yourself, but there's one recording, only one. And I've never been able to find it. If anybody's here knows of this. Cryon talked about what's going to happen, and it must have been in 15 or 14. I bet you it was in 14. What's going to happen to people once the energy starts to change? If they don't want to change, what's that going to be like for them? And what he said was, what's going to happen is consider that there will be a mirror in their field turned toward them. And what they are emitting is what is going to come back, and it'll be magnified, and it's going to be in their fields, and it's going to be intensely uncomfortable, because they'll know they're doing it. They'll know, and it's self-perpetuating, and it will become more and more hard. That's the idea. That's the idea. How else do people who are stubborn and slow and not very bright change? How many times have I needed to have my back against the wall and a hand around my throat before I was willing to change? Huh? Yeah, it's gonna feel bad. If you're in that mindset, things might actually start turning to shit. Because what I'm seeing is that a lot of the people who voted for these assholes, a lot of them are on the dole. A lot of them are dependent on the government. A lot of them are veterans or active military. And they have subjugated wives, and they go to church, and boy do they love Jesus. And they are some of the more violent people I have ever met in my life. Just their consciousness is violent. Well, guess what that begets? More violence. Or something's introduced in the system that's brand new, that's never been seen before. And suddenly, acting the way that they've been acting, it's kind of embarrassing. There's got to be a better way than this. Backslide, 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 backslide. Discomfort, 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 discomfort. That's how it works. So, enjoy that. To geometrics. God knows I have a little bit of that wobble in my Merkaba still, but not much, because I feel like there's this membrane that I popped. It was actually 2 days ago, I was driving to work, And I was considering this person in my life who was just ultra judgmental, like poisonous judgmental, and just mean as a snake. And I don't have a lot of contact, but I have enough. And I was thinking, God, how unpleasant. And, yeah, I care. Sure. But no longer am I willing to hide. So that the one who must be in judgment that is severe and violent, I'm not kowtowing anymore. And I guess if you want to judge me, then you're going to judge me. Enjoy that. I don't really give a shit. So I'm not hiding anymore. And it's always been before, titrate the information. That's why I've broken up with people before. Because they weren't honest with me. And they titrated the information to so that they could manipulate me. So, be honest with me. Speak your mind. Tell me what's going on. And, I mean, the first time that was confessed to me was my first girlfriend. That she wouldn't tell me everything, because she was afraid I was going to get mad. Oh, go fuck yourself. Hey, I'm allowed to be mad. And you're not allowed to hide that from me just because you're afraid of my emotions? Oh, come on. I don't do that with you. Don't do that with me. Well, that's revolutionary. God. But I was doing the same thing, wasn't I? So as not to upset people or to have them feel like they are less than or whatever, I wouldn't share. Well, I'm not saying that I'm going to be loose as a goose and full of self-disclosure. I'm just going to be absent of shame. And I have been for a few years. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it honestly. Unless I've assessed you as a complete and utter asshole, and then I will just defer the question. I'd rather not talk to you about that, actually. Without explanation as to why. I'm allowed. Don't invade me. And if you try, no, that's all right. You can try. Aw, isn't that nice? I get to decide. And it's this fire that I realize now is, thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump supporters. You have helped me. I am okay with being authentic now. And have you noticed I've been working on this? And okay with just, having my limits. And getting rid of that panic I used to feel, especially around men, that I didn't have a right or the ability to set a boundary. And that's the old stuff. So, it works knowing that really it's got nothing to do with men and women. It's just it's just patterning. And there really is a difference in my relations with men and women. And it was brought to my attention one morning in a dream. They kept showing me the different tracks and how I behave differently, I have different expectations regarding the genders. And maybe I could work on that. And, just be a little bit more fair. That would probably be helpful. But, it's not women I see behaving this way. A few. No, it's not. No. So, this is about the male coming to terms with itself and its own brutality and its abuse of power That's what I think. And it's the dark dying hard. Having a tantrum. And it's not all that magical. It's also expertly done by the, the part of the power structure that no one talks about, but everyone suspects. For those who are interested, there's a documentary called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. About 3 hours and 15 minutes. It will change you if you're ready for it. In a profound way. I would say a good way, but expect that you will be shocked. And you won't be able to see things different. You won't be able to see things the same. It just won't be possible. And there may be a period of feeling jaded or cynical, or ravenous for more information. But I do like that particular documentary because it does not engage in a lot of the conspiracy stuff that is that the Trump campaign ran on. It is straight up just very very researched information about things that and it's just using its noggin. So whatever. So yeah, we have pervs in the White House, yeah, and we voted them in, and sure, I'll count myself in that. I mean, I happen to be an American, so I'm part of the psyche, and I certainly know enough of these kind of people, whether they voted for him or not. So yeah, they're out there. And that's very traumatizing to me, to know that I have to be pleasant with people who are dialed in so dark. And I just, wow. I'm tired. This has been my life. Showing up on psych wards and in hospice wards and neonatal ICUs and dealing with bureaucratic nonsense, and just that's the feeling I had this afternoon. Is I remember this feeling, and I thought that I thought it was over. I didn't think I was going to have to do this again, but I realized the next few years is going to be it's not going to be easy. It was very clear. It just was like a thought group, and it's just, oh, shit. I really thought I could just settle down. No. Things are about to pop open in brand new ways for me and for everyone. And so, yeah, I called my friend Amy, who does intentional orgasm work, and she and I have been talking a lot about my practice, and because it's to me, it's the way home. It's important healing work, and I feel it's entirely legitimate. I'm living proof of its legitimacy, and not only the work that she does, but the work I've done independently, because this is all about healing our sexuality and our sexual expression, and our way of relating to ourselves and others, both as biologic human beings, and then if we choose, sexually. And it's important work, and it's about equality. And then, wow, talk about contrast. So what they've been talking about the fence is real, and contrast. Well, guess what? So a part of me was just like, I'm so relaxed and relieved. It's finally here. We get to begin now. It's finally gotten weird. It is so fucking weird that I'm going to go, Amy, hey, this has got to happen. I'm going to be a full-time practitioner by my birthday, so let's get rocking and rolling here, baby. Boop. So, yeah. Hell yeah. That's right. And it's going to start to happen. And I'm really going to be okay at talking about it. And that's part of why I've been going through this particular process. I've got to get so comfortable that I'm okay talking about even the orgasm and the sexual energy. Yeah, better be okay with that, while holding myself in a very dignified way, I think. Sure, I might drop a few F-bombs, but I think overall I present as someone who is highly intelligent and thoughtful and cogent. I guess that's for you to tell me, isn't it? So I am appalled at the stupidity of my fellow citizens. Appalled. Not just simply disappointed, but really quite disgusted. This shit stops. Okay? There's a whole bunch of elders who have stood by and watched. It stops now. You're done. And I think that's what this election is about. Finally. The elders are going to start coming forward. This is untenable, unacceptable, and fixable. So let's begin. I wasn't there this afternoon. I was really howling in pain, especially on Facebook. So thank you, friends. But, passion is passion. And I am passionate about this stuff because, what? This matters. How we behave toward each other matters. How we think about ourselves matters. And really, how we treat each other, whether we agree with each other or not, matters. And that's why I'm very proud of myself, because I am a very sweet person. I'm not a mean person. But I'm an honest person. And I guess it's up to you to deal with my honesty. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm going to say what I think is appropriate to say, and within the letter of the law and appropriateness. I'm not here to rattle anyone's cage at all. I could care less. I'm assuming you're not in one. I'm assuming that it's okay to speak if it's appropriate to the situation, and I'm quite the intuitive, so I really don't spout things off unless it seems to make sense. And today, all day long, I had opportunities to be around strangers, and boy, did I make light. Whoo, did I make light. Wow, I had fun. I had great conversations, and I could see people's faces go, ah. And by the afternoon, I was like, oh, and I was being held by somebody I had, seen maybe 7 times. Professionally and just as co-professionals. It's like, I would imagine there's going to be a lot of that. So, yeah, I was very, very, very tempted to say, shame on you. Just shame on you if you voted for him. But you know what? I'm as much at fault. And I set it up that way. I stood down. I did not vote. I couldn't. Not this year. And I haven't not voted since I was given that privilege. But no, I abstained. I couldn't do it. So, I'm as much at fault as the person who pulled the lever. And I don't feel any guilt about that. 59-29. For me, it was appropriate. My feeling is that what's going to happen is that there's going to be some truth revealed about the computerized voting. And someone is going to put it together that the exit polls and the computerized tallies are at variance. I think it's going to lead to something this time. But I could be wrong. Because I don't, my feeling is I do not believe that this is an accurate vote. I don't think there were a lot of people who voted for Trump. I think the nation voted for Hillary, and they went from, why steal the election at the Supreme Court level when you can steal it at the polls? And who has more money? And who is more devious? And who could have set it up best? In accordance with people who are going to profit by having someone who is off the chain in charge. Everything is a rich man's trick. You might want to look it up. Consider it a civic duty. The other book that could be very helpful at this time, anything written by Zinn. I think it's Harold Zinn. But please don't quote me on the first name. That's a book that it's a real hard read. The History of America. Blow your mind. So there you go. Something drove us to the point where we thought that this was actually an appropriate choice, and one that could be reacted to. What would be the right word? Genuinely. Because really, Trump is a caricature. He was given the power by the American psyche that ate him up on news feeds and the media. Just like they did when he was the star of that wretched program that I couldn't bear watching. You're fired! Oh my God. Oh my God. You want that kind of asshole as your boss? Oh great. Really? You're gonna make a show around it? Whee! But I don't know. It's a world gone mad. So, I think that there is a way out that is individual, but that is also collective and local. So yes, I do believe that local politics will become much more important to people in a survival kind of way. That it's going to begin to matter more and more. And look at here, we've got Sanders, who is talking about doing grassroots stuff. My, oh my. Somebody sure was taking the long view, weren't they? Thank you, Bernie. Thank you for your service. I'm glad you're still with us. That, to me, tells me more about the state of the Illuminati, or whatever the hell you want to call this bunch of dorks. These industrialists, these skull and bonesmen, these pirates that Bernie lived. And it wasn't because he was he lived. He was hurt, but he lived. And that, to me, says more than anything that we're making progress. I think that's very sad. But having been alive on this earth when JFK was murdered, and I remember my mom laying on the couch and how sad she was. It was like when her mom died. Just like, and I was a toddler, but that's not the kind of grief that you can not feel. It's just like your hope's gone, the light's out, and the light's been out, and the light came back with Bernie, and he's still alive. So listen to your elders. Sure, I may have a take on this that is highly individual, but I'm a healer, and I am really, 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 really done healing the way that I have the last 31 years. I don't believe in it anymore. I know that my healing is my presence, and I want to be giving that presence to other kind of people who know they have a responsibility for their happiness and their health and their pain and their suffering, and they present themselves for support and healing through that process that they are having with their souls. And if they know that consciously, so much the better. But if they accept that that's how I roll and they want that from me, then we have a party. Then we have liftoff. So that's why I feel like this membrane's been popped. Oh, okay, well, that's pretty clear. And it's really, it's BFD. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. All bets are off. And you better believe we will be proceeding with extreme caution. And if I sense that the environment is not safe for my son, then we will be changing the environment. But I have a sneaking suspicion that we're already pretty set for good things. And that everything is in divine order. In my home, in my heart, in my love life, yay, in my profession, and in the days to come for us all. So now I'll channel, and then that'll be that for the night. I'm proud of this work. I'm glad, and I don't care that it's long. I found the one that I did yesterday was very, 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 it was healing and funny and good, and I've watched it a couple times, and it's an investment. Yeah, it's 57 minutes, but I have it on and do this and that and the other thing, and I'm really happy. So that's all I have to say about this. When I come back to you, I will be channeling, and thankfully, and hopefully there will be some resolution to the maelstrom of emotions that not only yours truly has been experiencing, but we as a nation collectively, you can take it to the bank. This has been a huge energetic day, and it would be very fun to look at the magnetics. They have magnetic, readouts, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. I think it's at NOAA, but I'm not sure. They spiked at certain times. The 33 miners, 9/11, the magnetic spike. I'm wondering what the magnetics look like today. But I know I feel different. I realize that I have a bigger purpose that's got a hell of a lot more to do than me figuring out why my last romance failed. And if I'm an okay person because somebody who I love doesn't love me back in a way that makes any sense at all to me. Well, you know what? Some things are mysteries. How about if we move on? There are other fish to fry. And far, far bigger happiness is to come. And greater resolution and completion than you can possibly imagine. So fear not and be of good cheer. Oh, they're tricky. They're tricky. All right. I think that's all I have to say. Oh my. Oh my. Lim? Yes, please, I'd like one. Whee! Good night.